All right, in this explainer, we are digging into what it takes to build a career in healthcare. We're going to be looking at You Can Nail It, which is this incredible guide by Dr. David R. Gross. So if you've ever, even for a second, dreamt of becoming a doctor, a dentist, or a vet, yeah, this is for you.
I mean, that's a huge question, isn't it? Have you ever had that dream? Because every single year, thousands and thousands of students start out with that exact same goal. It's an amazing, noble path to take. But as we're about to see, the journey, well, it's anything but simple.
Yeah, and challenging might actually be the understatement of the year. You've got the pressure to keep your GPA perfect, then there are those grueling entrance exams, not to mention the high-stakes interviews. It is so easy to feel completely overwhelmed before you've even really started.
But what if you had, like, a roadmap, a guide? Well, that's exactly what this book is. Seriously. Dr. Gross has basically created a lifeline to help you not just figure out the crazy world of admissions, but to actually survive and, thrive once you get in.
So who's the person behind this guide? Well, get this. Dr. Gross isn't just some academic. His career covers everything: clinical practice, deep research, and teaching. I mean, he has seen this world from every single angle you can imagine, and he basically pours decades of that unique experience right into this guide.
And honestly, that's what makes this book so powerful. It's not some dry, boring textbook. No way. It's grounded in empathy and realism. It makes you feel like you're getting advice from a mentor who actually gets the struggle and genuinely wants to see you succeed.
Okay, so the book kicks off at the most logical place possible, making sure you really truly understand the commitment. This isn't just about getting in, it's about figuring out if this whole life is even right for you.
And here's the first hard truth bomb. Dr. Gross kind of forces you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I really ready for the massive lifestyle change that this path demands? It's a tough question, and it requires some brutal honesty right from the get-go.
Okay, so let's say you've done the soul-searching. You're all in. Now what? Well, now comes the strategy. How do you actually build an application that doesn't just check off a bunch of boxes, but tells a really compelling story about who you are?
So, Dr. Gross breaks it all down into 5 key pillars. You've got the obvious stuff, right? Your GPA and your test scores, of course. But what's just as critical are your real-world experiences, the letters of recommendation from people who can speak to your character, and that all-important personal statement that really explains your why.
And this timeline, it reveals something absolutely critical. This whole journey, it doesn't start your junior year of college. No. Success is all about strategically laying the groundwork right from year one. Building relationships, getting experience, long before you even think about hitting that submit button on your application.
And this is a message that I think more students really need to hear. The best school isn't always the one with the biggest, fanciest name. It's the one where you are going to thrive. Dr. Gross really hammers home the importance of looking at the culture, the location, and the support systems they have. That's what's going to set you up for long-term success.
Okay, so getting in, that's one thing. But staying in and actually doing well, thriving, that is a whole other ballgame. This next section is all about the skills you absolutely need once you're on the inside.
Think about it. The second you're admitted, you're hit with this avalanche of coursework, labs, and clinicals. So what's the one skill that's going to keep you from drowning in all of that? Time management. It is absolutely 100% non-negotiable.
And the best part is, he doesn't just say, hey, manage your time better. He gives you a practical toolkit. We're talking about real strategies, like establishing routines, using things like the Eisenhower matrix to figure out your priorities, and batching your tasks together. He even suggests something as simple as tracking your time for a week, just to see where it's all going. Pretty smart.
Now, this next insight is a total game changer. So many students fall into this trap, right? They measure their success by the number of hours they spend in the library. Well, Dr. Gross completely busts that myth. The key isn't studying harder. It's about studying smarter.
So first up, active recall. What does that mean? It means you stop just passively rereading your notes over and over again. Instead, you start actively testing yourself. That act of pulling the information out of your memory, that's what builds those strong, lasting connections in your brain.
Next, you've got spaced repetition. I love this one. It's basically the scientific antidote to cramming. By reviewing stuff at intervals that get longer and longer, you're signaling to your brain, hey, this is important, and you're pretty much hacking your way into your long-term memory.
Then there's something called interleaving. So instead of blocking out, say, 3 hours just for biology, you mix things up. You switch between subjects. This forces your brain to work a little harder to shift between concepts, and that leads to a much deeper, more flexible understanding of the material.
And finally, maybe the most powerful technique of all, teaching it to someone else. I mean, the ultimate test of whether you really know something is if you can explain it simply to another person. If you can do that, you've absolutely mastered it.
Look, you can have the best application in the world, the most perfect study habits, but none of it matters without the human element. This section is all about how you handle the incredible pressure without losing your health or your integrity in the process.
And Dr. Gross, he doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. Not at all. Professional school is a pressure cooker. And things like burnout, anxiety, and imposter syndrome, they're real. He confronts them head-on, and he acknowledges the huge mental and emotional toll this whole journey can take.
The advice here is just so practical and so needed. First, you have to understand that it's okay to struggle. Literally everyone does. Second, build a support system. And this is a big one. Practice self-compassion. Perfectionism can be your absolute worst enemy. And all of this has to be built on a foundation of physical health. We're talking sleep, nutrition, and exercise.
This next idea brilliantly illustrates a fundamental shift in your mindset. You're not just training for a job, you see. You are entering a profession, and that means you have to think beyond just tasks and skills. It's about joining a community that's built on these long-term values, like integrity, respect, and empathy.
And you know what? The learning never, ever stops. That's really the final piece of this professional mindset. These fields are changing all the time, and your success really depends on your commitment to being a lifelong learner and just staying curious.
So, to wrap all this up, what makes You Can Nail It stand out from all the other advice books out there? Let's break down the key things that make it so incredibly effective.
Okay, its power really comes down to a few things. First, it's short, just over 70 pages, but it is packed with insight. It also gives you real talk. It's honest about the challenges, but it's always motivational. The advice works whether you're pre-med, pre-dental, or pre-vet. And maybe most important of all, it just feels like you have a wise mentor in your corner.
At the end of the day, that's the core takeaway. This book teaches you how to think strategically, how to study effectively, and how to live in a sustainable way during what's going to be one of the most intense times of your life. It's not just a list of instructions, it's a whole new way to approach the entire challenge.
I mean, that quote really says it all, doesn't it? This journey is, without a doubt, incredibly tough. But here's the thing. With the right strategy and the right mindset, you can do so much more than just survive it. You can absolutely, positively nail it.